Some of that high-intensity play that kept viewers riveted to the Women's World Cup probably inspired younger soccer players to go all out. A new study shows player collisions, though, not just heading the ball, are behind a majority of concussions in high school soccer. Joining us is Dr. Phillips now. A new study that shows the dangers on the soccer field. What are they?
You know, very much so. We often think of soccer as a much safer alternative for children's sports, but in fact, it causes as many concussions as any other sport, more than anything other than football. So this study wanted to know exactly how those concussions are happening on the field. And so the researchers looked at more than 2 million soccer games or practices. So this was a huge. wide-reaching study. And what they found was that heading the ball, where you know, the ball is in the air, you go up and you try and hit it with your head, that results in more concussions than any other soccer play. That includes, you know, defending the ball or charging the ball. Really, heading the ball is where you see the most concussions. But the most interesting aspect of the study had to do with the fact that it's not actually your head coming in contact with the ball that causes the concussions. Rather, it's player-to-player contact. So you're going up to head the ball, and players might their heads might collide. You might get an elbow to your head. You might get a shoulder to your head, and that's how the concussions happen.
Okay, so when they're talking about the most damaging concussions that happen as a result of these collisions, either with other players or that collision with a ball to the head,
right.
I'm sure that the younger the child is, the more damage it does to a developing brain.
Right, absolutely. And in fact, there is a group of professional soccer players, Brandy Chastain is one of them, that they've formed an advocacy group to try to ban hitting the ball with your head in kids' soccer until the age of 14. Basically, no heading until kids are in high school. Right now, the guidelines say coaches can start to introduce heading at age 10. But what we know is that a lot of critical brain development happens between the ages of 10 and 14. And if you get concussed during that period of time, you're likely to have more serious and more long-lasting effects from them.
Could they look at helmets, using helmets the way football players do?
Right. Now, well, this study didn't really look at helmets or protecting players' heads in that way, but some other research has suggested that that might not work, because if you have a helmet on, you have a false sense of protection. So kids might even play rougher, thinking that they're protected.
You also said that if coaches encouraged a different type of play, or if referees were more consistent in enforcing penalties against aggressive play, that might make a difference.
Sure. Well, one of the really important points of the study that the researchers point out is that soccer has become more and more rough. Basically, there's a lot more player-to-player contact. It's a lot rougher, as we saw with the World Cup. It's not, you know, it's not a delicate game. But what's interesting is that the number of fouls that referees are calling hasn't increased proportionally to how rough the game is. So a lot of this rough play with player-to-player contact is being accepted, and that's also driving up the number of concussions.
Holly, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.